Pattaya City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
And this is a really important talk too. This is going to be Howard, who's a member of the committee, and he manages involved with a company called RenoSure, which helps to ensure that your reno comes out well. So he stands, in a sense, in a bridge between you and Thai workers, making sure they do a job you're happy with. He also comes up with really interesting and creative suggestions you wouldn't think of by this. And he has discovered a very significant issue with a lot of Thai wiring and electricity. Come on up, Howard, and fill us in.
Thank you. I've got to get sorted out here. Oh yeah, there he is. Okay. Before I start, how many people here are living in old condos? You know, 20 years old, 10 years old. And how many of you know that the condo has earth protection? Oh, there's not. Okay. And how do you know there's earth protection?
First of all, there's only 2 front plugs there.
Okay, so there's no earth. There's no earth, yeah. Okay. That's an important thing to know, actually. I didn't know that when I came to Thailand. I only found out that when I got involved in working here, renovations. But as the dragon says, don't wait for the dragon to wake up if you bite. This is your typical power system. Where's this? Okay. Oh, shot myself. Okay, here we are converting oil, gas, or even solar power into electricity, sending it down the grid. Here it goes through a step-down transformer to your condo, through your DB board, if you've got one like that, and then it goes live to your shower and neutral back. Neutral back should be 0 voltage and no amps. Amps is what is coming into your system. Amps is your electrons, your kilojoules, your power, your watts. Your unit would require a certain amount of watts to operate. That's basically the system that we would have. Okay, this is not funny, but what I've found actually all over the place is that your systems, your wiring colors are like a rainbow. Nothing is what you think it is or should be. And this is what happens many times. I think in Thailand they say on average, but the statistics may be wrong or right, but thousands of people get electrical shock. Probably between 500 to 600 people die or are electrocuted. Now this is the old wiring system here on this side, but what I found is multiple colors out there, white, other colors out there as well. This is the new system in Thailand. Blue is neutral, live, and earth. This is a typical wiring joint you find all over the place. Not in new condos, but you know the problem here is, you know, first thing, there's no earth here. as people said, there's no earth here. That's a major fall. Then you've got these connectors with some tape on it, but that tape's not going to last too long. That tape, as we know, disintegrates and deteriorates over time. This is what you should have, a typical junction box. As Brad rightly said, the wiring here was supposed to go from here into here and then into there, but I couldn't train AI to get rid of it wouldn't do it for me. So AI does have glitches. Okay, going back to the earlier one, this is just a simple testing device to test for volts. What you do, you can either put it into the plug itself, if you're confident of doing that. If you have the wires, switch off the power first. Please switch off the power first. Take off the insulation tape, and then you'll see the copper wire. What you do, you touch it with the end here, press the button here, and here a light would shine or light up, and that will then tell you if that's the live and connection in your system. That's because everything is multicolored out there. Okay, now getting back to the first question that I asked, do you know if you have an earth in your, this is an old system, all you have is circuit breakers, but there is no earth here. There's no earth whatsoever in the old ones. Why do you need earth? Well, we'll get to that later. This is a typical new installation where you have circuit breakers and earth leakage. But what is missing here is your RCBO, which is your residual circuit breaker. And I'll come to that later as well. In a building, especially a condo, this will be your typical grounding, and these are all your earth wires that go throughout the building and to your DB board inside your condo. Now, why is that important? Well, let's get to the effects of amps. Amps is your watts, your energy, which is being consumed by your device. Here we've got two devices, and we'll look at the different amps. Here we have an electrical heater rated at 4 kilowatt, which is producing or requires 18.2 amps. Here we have a small electrical lamp, which only requires 0.9 amps, which is quite low. Which one is, or hands up, which one is more unsafe? This electrical heater or the light bulb? Electrical heater first. Anybody see it's unsafe? Okay. The light bulb, is that unsafe? Interesting. Okay, I'll come to that later as well. It draws 0.9 amps, but it is unsafe too, actually. Even though it's less amps, it is still unsafe. Okay, this is important. This is important, and the slide will be available. How many amps is a safety risk? Okay, well, if we look at 1 amp, is 1,000 milliamps. 0.1 of an amp is 100 milliamps. 0.03, 30 milliamps. If you go back to what previous slide, the light bulb was 0.09 of an amp. So 1 milliamp, that's very low. Slight tingling sensation. 10 milliamps, you get a painful shock. Probably same as what you get for acupuncture. 30 milliamps is dangerous. 30 milliamps is 0.03. If you think back to the other slide, your light bulb was 0.09 of an amp. So it's becoming dangerous. And then from 50 to 100 milliamps, it can stop your heart. That's milliamps. 1 amp is 1,000. If you think back to the water heater, that water heater is generating or requires 18 amps. That's a huge amount of power if that should go through you or try and get through you to Earth. Okay, what do they do today? This is a distribution board with an RCBO. I'll come on to this as well, why it's important just now. But this is a circuit breaker, and you know you have one because there's a test button with it. If you have this, it just has circuit breakers, and it has earth leakage, which is good, because they will trip quicker than one of the old ones without any earth leakage whatsoever. Okay, this is your most unsafe place in a condo if you have an electric heater in a shower and there's some sort of a fault, there's water there, the amps is going to go through you to Earth. And as I said, that's 18 point something amps. That's going to fry you. That's going to fry you. Now, if you don't have earth leakage in your condo and you have this setup, there is a solution. You can get an RCBO residual circuit breaker. Okay? It will help. They will trip in something like 30 milliseconds. So it would probably save your life. If you didn't have it, well, you are a goner in that situation if you don't have any earth leakage whatsoever in your condo. Okay, and here's what we were talking about. So it's a life-saving device. But my personal opinion, remove that water heater from the wall in the shower room. Don't have it there. Put it up in the ceiling away from where you are. That's the most safest place for it. But, you know, it will protect if there's damaged tables. It will protect you. It will save your life. So, in a bathroom, with it still being, it's a water environment, it's a wet environment, and most heaters are installed there. So remember that the RCBO is a dedicated circuit. If you don't have earth wiring system, then you definitely put in a RCBO. You can, but also one of the things that you'll find, okay, is that you need protection, okay? And what we're offering actually is I will go out, I will look at your condo, I would inspect it. As members of the club, it'll be a free service for you, basically to make sure we keep the dragon sleeping. There are some simple tests. You may have an earth system in your, but is it connected properly? Are the wires connected? Are they not broken? You can test plug testers, you plug it in and it tells you whether it's wired correctly. Is the earth neutral and live in the correct places? Do you have an open system, meaning that your neutral, where the amps returns at 0, the amps is carrying your energy. After it's consumed, the amps go back to the transformer. Okay, so we can do that. We can check your distribution board. We can check your system. And we can check whether your earth leakage systems are working correctly. Okay, thank you.
I built a new house out in Udon Thani, and it's just finished. Can I assume that the electricity is done right? I mean, assuming the electricity is done right in Thailand. That's the best joke I've told. But can I assume that everything's grounded?
No.
Yeah, thank you.
You have to have it tested. You have to have it tested. And there are, up there will be electrical companies that can do it for you.
Yeah. There's also you can hire building inspectors, foreign building inspectors. That's what I did when I built a new house. And that was one of the things he tested.
I like to do everything that John does.
Yeah. Don't assume that, all the wires look like they're in the right place. They are doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay, thank you for your talk. The young guy, as I was fit, I have to sell foundation earthing equipment as simplest what was in my equipment. But I never know a Philippine worker who can test the foundation earth. How will you make foundation earth in an old building? How will you do it? How can you test it?
Well,
which electric man in Thailand will have this machine? Thank you.
Well, if it's an old building, more than likely you don't have earth system. Yeah, it may not be put in. I think I showed a slide previously of where a foundation grounding should be, or a photograph of one. But the old buildings don't have them. Yes, but they have to be put in for the building. So the owners of the condo, okay, or the jurisdict must decide, are they going to put in grounding for that building? There are a lot of buildings in Pattaya. They do have earth grounding systems, and they have green and wires going all over the place, like there it is there. But then it's up to the individual condo owner to then upgrade the DB and put in earth to all the systems and appliances in the condo. But there are some condos out there that don't have yet. The older ones, they don't even have yet. Whether they're going to have, I don't know. So in that instance, if you know you don't have an earth system, the safest thing is to put one of those RCBO devices in. It will give you protection.
They'll work even without a building-based ground system.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's
You don't have to have ground for that to work.
The best thing is to have the ground system, but it's a building-wide, condo-wide thing. Obviously, an individual condo owner can't determine that. Get on the committee, maybe you'll have an influence. So the backup thing is to have the RDBO installed that will cut off the electricity quickly in case of a surge, correct?
Correct, yes. Thank you,
Okay,
Ren. You got that quickly.
Sorry. When I stay in a condominium and I have my own part of this system, there are 700 or 800 person living condominiums, and I have my one on the ground floor. Can you make the, what is it called, earth grounding system by your own only for my room? Can you do it? Or your staff can do?
If you're on the ground floor, I see no reason why you can't.
But
If you're on the ground floor, yes.
Yeah,
You'd have to check with
But you would have to get permission for that.
You'd have to check with the juristic, because you only own the paint in your condo. You don't own the walls or the floor. You'd need permission to pierce the floor.
The foundations, because it would have to be properly designed to go into the
You'd need to check with
foundation.
the juristic and get permission.
And what you're talking about is what we call in the United States ground fault interrupt.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
it's
I
the
think,
same
yeah,
thing,
yeah, okay, yeah, which is your earth leakage, which
Right, and I understand that if you put those plugs in, for instance, in a bathroom where they don't have a ground wire, they still will work to protect you.
If you put the RC...
Or ground fault interrupt.
Okay, I've got you now, Yes, it will give you protection, it will save your life.
I made the mistake of assuming that my wife's 5-year-old house was wired correctly. I wanted to put in a ceiling fan. I turned on the fan. I went to the circuit breaker. I turned off the right breaker, and the fan shut off. I'm good. Now I can wire that thing in. I started grabbing those wires and I got knocked on my ass because they had the neutral and the hot switched. That you were fusing the neutral, which means hot is there all the time.
Okay, but that's what I tried to say before. Your wiring systems, you need to check them, and I showed you that small volt tester. So even when you switch off the circuit board, go back and check that none of the wires are live. That would save you from getting a shock, if not more.
John mentioned, I don't know if that system would work here. He mentioned, I'm used to the US, where I know you've got that issue with these heaters in the shower, which I would freak out if I ever saw one. I would be petrified and not use the shower. But I'm used to the system in the US where you put in, at the socket, you put in this thing called a GFA, ground fault interrupt. You have a particular type of socket. Can that be a fix? For example, in the kitchen, in the US it's usually in both the bathrooms and the kitchens. Can those be installed?
Wet areas.
Wet areas, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they can be, yes.
But that's not...
But I don't quite know what the protection of those... I'll have to look at the spec on them. I don't know what the protection...
Right, because...
I know what an RCBO would do.
Right.
Okay. And I know they would save life. They will cut out any supply if there's a fault within 30 milliseconds. So that is a good, safe device. I don't know about these plug-in devices, no.
I might be able to help here.
It's a different socket. You replace the existing socket with with a GFI, which has a ground. It has 3. You plug in 3.
I might be able to help here explain this, because one of the things that Howard didn't cover is exactly the point of the earth and how it works. So the way the electrical system works is the electricity comes out of the live wire and travels through whatever the device is to the neutral. And because it's AC current, it goes back and forth 50 times a second. So the power is traveling from the live to the neutral. What the ground is for is in the event that something goes wrong and the electricity finds a different path and connects the ground, so the power is flowing from the live to the ground instead of the live to the neutral. And these GFI breakers that you're talking about actually measure that. If any voltage goes from the live to the ground under any circumstances, it immediately trips the breaker regardless of how much voltage gets in, which is where the protection comes in a warm environment. I had a hot tub, and the heating element actually cracked, and water started getting inside the heating element. So now there was a path from the live to ground, and the GFI breaker on the hot tub immediately tripped when the heater kicked in, because now there was a path to ground for the electricity. And that's the whole point of having grounds in your building, because the power should never go there, and if it does, something's wrong, and you want to trip the breakers before somebody gets electrocuted. That's why it's important.
Yeah, I hate to be naive, because we've got these jacuzzis everywhere. Like, how do you make sure the jacuzzi's safe?
They have a ground line, and it needs to be hooked up to a breaker that'll trip if there's any power on the ground line. That's the whole point of the design, and that's what keeps you from getting electrocuted.
That's why you probably shouldn't install it yourself.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
with your jacuzzi, you would need earth leakage and an RCBO or one of these other. Well, I would suggest putting an RCBO because it goes directly to your DB board.
Yes.
And
I cannot emphasize
not a
enough.
jacuzzi. I wouldn't put in a plug-in device. No, I would put in a proper RCBO.
If it's electrical, do not try to operate it on yourself. I had somebody do that, a friend of mine on a farm, blah, blah, blah. He was on top of a step ladder, got thrown off the step ladder, landed on a gate that he'd put in so it was properly constructed, broke his back. So do not do electrical stuff yourself. Get Howard or get someone via Howard. Susan.
Yeah, this is a completely different question. Do you ever, or maybe this is something you don't need to even worry about in Thailand, do you ever run in cases of poorly conditioned power where it's basically the AC doesn't run consistently. I had a building where the power was so poorly conditioned it was frying Wi-Fi devices, and I don't know that happens here.
Then the answer to that is yes. You've got some wiring problem with your whole system.
Right.
It will have to be checked, and you will check every plug, every device, and make sure that there's no earth leakage coming from any of your appliances, which could be affecting somewhere else.
Okay.
What I've also noticed as well, actually, is that the wiring systems, you've got plugs wired into lights, et cetera, so that's also non-compliant, but that's how the systems are, and that's how we find them.
Interesting. Talking from personal experience, many years ago, I found out familiarity breeds contempt, and it really cost me my life. I was working fitting a kitchen, and it was the time, so many years ago, that it wasn't easy to get a battery-operated drill. So obviously I needed the power. I got it plugged in, and I went in with a screwdriver, a very good screwdriver, protected right the way down the stem, except for about an inch of metal. So I went in to unscrew the earth, and bang! It banged me up against the wall, turned my hair curly, thank you, and when I looked at the socket, the actual screwdriver was welded against the light.
Yes.
That was the power jumping across. So don't think you're going to be safe if you don't switch the power off.
How many amps?
You're exactly right.
How many amps was that you were talking about?
Too many.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we had an incident yesterday where one of the LED lights, globes, you screw it in, it had been replaced, screwed in, but it was an old fitting. It just went pop, and it generated a lot of heat. When we pulled out the bulb itself, where it screws in, was black. Where the LED light was completely black. So there was a lot of heat generated in a short time. But earth was there, and it tripped. It didn't cause a fire. Now that's something which, if you look at the headlines in Pattaya this last month, there's been an awful lot of fires in buildings. It's probably, and I can't say for certain because they haven't given the report on all these fires yet, it's more than likely a short circuit due to inferior installation of the electrical system.
Or maybe it's because it's just too darn hot here.
All right, well, round of applause for Howard for this incredibly important subject. So, let me take that off you. All right, so thank you, Howard. Obviously, life and death subject.